Our next book that we're going to be reading for the Body Sex Experience is the book Buzz, A Stimulating History of the Sex Toy by Hallie Lieberman. Betty did not write this book, but she is featured prominently throughout this book. And the reason why we chose it is because it establishes Betty's place in sexual history. And you get a broader view of what was going on at the time during the sexual revolution through this book.
When it comes to mind is Betty being in the orgy scene, hosting them at her home, watching the women fake orgasms, starting to get a little upset about that. And she said, the men were good for a round or two, and then we'd all end up in the back room. And she had vibrators. And she's like, we all would start vibrating together. And she's like, Carlin, it was magical. There was something very different, the energy. And she's like, and we would support each other's orgasm. She took it to the Now Sexuality Conference in 1973. And I always thinking about that because that was the year I was born. Betty took a case of vibrators with her and she gave a presentation. And you see the pictures. And I remember finding the pictures in a drawer because I kept on saying to Betty, I want to establish your history that you were the one who brought the vibrator back. Because they say feminists, but I'm like, it really was one feminist. Betty Dawson. And one day I opened the folder and I see there she is with her 5-point Sassoon haircut, really short, a halter top, these like hip hopper jeans, and she's got the vibrator in her hand. And then you see her giving the lecture, and all the women are just hanging on every word. And then you see her taking money from a woman and handing her a vibrator. And she said they sold out.
Right.
And it was the beginning of the vibrator as a pleasure device and that market for women. And I love that Hallie captured that because really Betty is responsible for every vibrator sold. And when Kinsey came out with that research and said that now every American home has one.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yes. And this book clearly too, this book is well researched. Hallie must have interviewed Betty. Did she?
Oh yes. She used to hang out at the apartment all the time.
Right.
Hallie was always there. She's lovely. And that's how we have to capture our history as women because before it's lost. Right. So I put the pictures out there. We started talking about it and we called it sex machines. That's what we even call it vibrators. Betty would go, oh, I'm having sex with a machine. And there's that audio clip at the Now conference that Betty talks about her sex life. And she said, oh, well, now I'm having sex machines and maybe I'll start having sex with plants. I'm not sure where it's going to end. It's a moment in feminist history. And it was that Now Sexuality Conference. And Dell Williams, who started Eve's Garden, which was the first sex shop run and created by women for women, she was the one who got Betty to go.
Yeah, Betty's role. It's a fascinating book because you really do, you see, like we've really focused on Betty and her life. And this kind of pulls back the camera so you can see her place in everything that was going on during that time in feminism and in sexuality and the history of the vibrator.